So it's been a bit since we did a live, and we're trying to get back into the groove of doing these. So that's why we're getting it back into it. And yeah, so bear with me. The lighting's kind of off, all of that. I definitely want to upgrade on a webcam because this is not looking how it used to look. And let's make sure we are good on audio, which I think we are. So we're going to give it a little bit of time. Let's let it pick up, make sure that everything's going good and that everything's sounding great, which I hope it is. But we got a couple of horror news to talk about here. So let's get on with the first one, shall we? So let's put the first picture up of what we want to talk about, which of course is going to be Happy Death Day 3. Very excited about this one. So we have been waiting for Happy Death Day 3 for some time now, and during a recent double feature of the first two movies, Jessica Rothe, who of course plays Tree in the movie, the star, and also Christopher Landon came on stage and they said together that the third movie is moving forward. So we have some pretty exciting news right there. Landing himself said it is moving forward. So it's been 6 years since Happy Death Day to You was released. So it's a long time coming, right? So we've been waiting for this and very, very excited to hear now that we are getting this third film. So, like I said, 6 years, and we've been on and off if it was coming or not. Back in 2020, he said that the film would be different than the other two films, Christopher Landon himself. And he also said, I would love if we had the opportunity to complete the trilogy. Well, Roth said, I would love if we had the opportunity to complete the trilogy. I know that Chris has it all mapped out in his genius brain, but I also know that we only want to complete it if we get to do it right. I think it's just a question of seeing if the opportunity for that exists in the world. Roth continued by saying, but the funny thing is, I have a feeling whether it's now or in 5 years, 10 or 20, if we pull a Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween and Trey comes back as a 50-year-old, I know that we will get to tell the rest of the story. I love Tree. I love that character so much, and I feel very, very grateful to have been a part of that. So, Happy Death Day 3 is in the early stages, but we will be anticipating this movie for sure. One of our favorite films to come out in the last couple of years for sure. Yes, so Final Destination Bloodlines. I watched the trailer. I do want to talk about it as well because I'm very interested in the story they're trying to go for. But yes, we're so ready for that one as well. Almost time, almost time. Less than a month for sure, or a little bit more, like he said, a little bit more in the month. I don't know. I thought it was coming out the first week of May, but very excited for Final Destination. I do want to make a whole video on it as well. Maybe I'll talk about it a bit as well here because the trailer is very interesting for sure because I was very fascinated with the fact that we're jumping between like the past and the present, and it's all like a big curse that's pretty much following them. And I'm very curious. Also, the CinemaCon footage they showcased there, I read the description. I think I briefly talked about it in one of my videos when I was doing this whole CinemaCon thing. That just sounds gnarly and crazy. So I'm definitely ready to see what they're able to pull off with Final Destination Bloodlines, and very, very excited for that. But we do also have The Last of Us being renewed for season 3, and season 2 is just around the corner on Sunday. We will be covering that. We will be talking about that on a weekly basis. So, very excited to do that. And also, we have Black Mirror's new season tomorrow on Netflix. So, those are two shows we're going to be talking about a lot probably in the next couple of weeks. So, stay tuned for that, and very excited for that as well. But we do have another film that I'm excited is getting a release because I've heard so many great things about it, and that is this movie right here with Benedict Cumberbatch, which was actually at Sundance. I haven't watched it, but I've heard some good things about it. It's called The Thing with Feathers, and it is getting a release date on Halloween. So very curious how that one's gonna be. But it says a widower played by Benedict Cumberbatch, is left to raise two young sons after the unexpected death of his wife. The man's life is unraveling because of the grief that takes the form of an unhinged and unwanted guest, a crow, which taunts him from the shadows. So, this is a movie that's been getting some pretty good reviews out of Sundance. It is going to be coming out this Halloween. Benedict Cumberbatch starring, so definitely very curious about how this one's going to turn out. But we also have another movie out of Sundance that is getting a release date this year and actually got acquired by Movie, and that is the film here, Lurker. Lurker, I've heard really great things about it. It comes from the writer of The Bear, so that gets me much more excited. You have Theodore Pellerine starring in this, as well as Archie Madakwe, and it is a parasocial paranoid thriller that follows a 20-something retail clerk who encounters a rising pop star, taking the opportunity to edge his way into the in crowd as the line between friend and fan blurs beyond recognition. Access and proximity become a matter of life and death. So this comes from the Bear and Beef writer producer Alex Russell, when this is his directorial debut from his own script. Havana Rose Liu, Sunny Suljic, Daniel Sogardi, and Zach Fox also star in this film, and it comes out on August 22nd. Very excited to see what movie's going to do here. Now let's talk about I Know What You Did Last Summer. One of those franchises that I just never knew we were gonna get a sort of like follow up to. So I gotta fix how I do these pictures, right? But we got our first look right here. As you can see, we have some familiar faces, some new faces, and a very, very exciting premise as well, which we'll read right here. So making sure I remove these pictures, y'all. I needed like some better way to do this, but here we go. So Jennifer Love Hewitt front and center, as you can see, returning Freddie Prinze Jr. as well. And the rumor is hopefully we'll hear that Brandy's coming back at some point, but we haven't gotten that confirmation just yet. But we did get a little bit more insight into this movie that is sounding promising. It says, when five friends inadvertently cause a deadly car accident, they cover up their involvement and make a pact to keep it a secret rather than face the consequences. A year later, their past comes back to haunt them and they're forced to confront a horrifying truth. Someone knows what they did last summer and is hell-bent on revenge. As one by one the friends are stalked by a killer, they discover this has happened before, and they turn to two survivors of the legendary Southport Massacre of 1997 for help. Billy Campbell, Chase V. Wonders, Madeline Klein, Sarah Pigeon, Tyrick Withers. You also have Jonah Harking, Lola Tung, Nicholas Alexander Chavez, Austin Nichols, Gavriette, and of course you have Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr. coming back to this one. Very excited for it. We don't know if Brandy's coming back just yet, but they say just watch the movie. So very curious about what that means. This film will be coming out July 18th, just in time for the summer, y'all. Just in time for the summer, we will get this one. So very curious about that, how that, like, what they're going to do with this, right? Because I just wonder how much of the story they're trying to keep and how much they're trying to do. So moving on to the next one, as you can see right here. I gotta find a better way to do all these pictures, y'all. But we did get a Hell House LLC Lineage new teaser trailer, which I'm excited about. I really enjoy the Hell House LLC franchise, and we see that the clown returns in an official teaser right here, which says in the synopsis, haunted by visions and recurring nightmares years after a near-death experience, Vanessa Shepard finds herself living in the town of Abaddon, unable to break free from its unexplained hold on her. When people around her suddenly and inexplicably begin to die, she soon uncovers her terrifying connection to the Abaddon Hotel, the Carmichael Manor, and the mysterious murders that have been occurring for decades. Very, very curious about this one. I enjoyed the LLC franchise, and I will see. The trailer for Dangerous Animals with Jay Courtney. I haven't seen that one yet. I've read about it, and the premise sounds very interesting. I'm trying to catch up with trailers for sure. I think I'm going to do like a video where I just watch all of the horror trailers that have released in the last month or two, because it's been a ton, and just talk about them. Probably over the weekend we'll have that video up for sure, because there's a ton of trailers I need to catch up with. But that premise sounds so interesting with Jay Courtney, dangerous animals, sharks, and all of that. So I'll definitely be watching that for sure. So we do have another series coming to Netflix as well in the next coming weeks, which I'm excited for. Like I said, we did have Black Mirror, but we also have Love, Death, and Robots coming out in May, season 4, which I think this series always has some very interesting episodes, just like the Black Mirror episodes do. So very excited to watch that. We'll be covering that one as well once it comes out and seeing where it takes us. But the trailer is out if you want to watch it, and I think it's promising, honestly. So there's a ton of interesting shorts that will be coming out of that series, so we'll be discussing and watching them as well. But we do have an update for I Am Legend, the sequel, which is going to be coming out with Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan attached. I don't know if Will Smith will be appearing or if he's just producing or whatnot, but this is what Will Smith had to say during a recent appearance on a podcast. What we were going to do is a prequel, but then the writer Akiva Goldsman suggested instead of making a sequel, well, no, they suggested instead making a sequel. This is what happens when you do things live. You read a little bit too fast, and that's what I do sometimes. But this is going to be a sequel. Michael B. Jordan's character is currently the head of a new settlement in the film in Connecticut, and he is not Will Smith's son, according to Will Smith in the movie. So apparently they are moving ahead with this, and it will start a few decades later than the first. And this is what Goldsman previously said of the sequel. We trace back to the original Matheson book and the alternate ending as opposed to the released ending in the original film. There will be more fidelity to the original text. So very curious about what that means. I Am Legend grossed over $500 million at the box office, so it's been long overdue for a sequel for sure. So very curious about how they handle that next. Now we do have an update on Orphan 3. Not much, really, not a picture or like a teaser or anything, but the star Isabel Furman promises that it's wilder and crazier. I'm so curious about Orphan 3. They're calling it an Interbetwinkle, so that means does Esther live? That's what I'm curious to find out, but I guess we'll see what happens with that. Let me know if you're a fan of Orphan for sure. But let's also talk about Welcome to Derry, which is the new show coming out for HBO later this year. No release date just yet, but they did release this little promo picture that has me very excited for it. This says, Welcome to Derry will kick off its story in 1962 in the time leading up to the events of It Chapter 1. From there, the planned second and third seasons will jump back in time and take place in their own distinct decades. The series is based on Mike Halland's interludes for King's Book, which document catastrophic events from Derry and Maine's past. So apparently the first season will be set there, but the other ones will be taking place in other decades, which is something we've heard before when they were trying to do a sequel to It Chapter 2. Something they wanted to explore was the past, and I guess they'll be able to do it a little better with the show for sure. So we'll be excited for this one. Death Stranding is getting a new film adaptation because I already feel like Death Stranding in its own feels like a film, and I'm curious to see about it. A24 is making the film. They have the writer and director of A Quiet Place Day One and also Pig attached to it. Ari Aster is producing. I'm curious if they're going to get anybody from the video game to appear, such as Norman Reedus, Matt Mikkelsen, Lea Seydoux, Guillermo del Toro, Margaret Qualley. Very curious if they're going to get any of them there because I felt like the game in itself just felt like a film. So I really would want them to come back for sure, but we'll see. The sequel to the game will come out later this summer. So excited about that. One of the final piece of news we have is that Predator Badlands is going to be very different with Elle Fanning starring in it, where we're actually going to follow Elle Fanning teaming up with a Predator in the franchise. So we see that Elle Fanning was talking about her character Thea when she was at CinemaCon this week, where they actually showcased a trailer, and she's not fighting a predator, she's rather teaming up with the hunter. She says, something unprecedented happens in this movie, and my character is not the one being chased. My character actually teams up with the predator, and you get to see him in a whole new light. The creature is front and center, leading the charge, is what Trachtenberg also said. He's still badass, but there's something there that touches you emotionally too. Creating a character you connect with, but are also super intimidated by, has been challenging but exciting. This is what Trachtenberg, the director, said about the film. No trailers released yet, but we will be anticipating this movie for sure. Yeah, I've been hearing about those rumors that it got delayed, and it kind of worries me now that they don't have a release date right now. I truly felt they wanted to release it this summer, but I think with like all of the things HBO has been releasing, I think they're letting time to breathe. I could definitely see this one coming out maybe like September into October. It just made a lot more sense to finally release that then. And I think there's just been so much like emptiness in the It franchise and stuff like that. And it was such a great like box office success, and everybody was like really wanting like Pennywise and stuff to return. I think I definitely see it coming out in the fall for sure, but That's just what I think. I hope it does. I really do want to see that already. So I'm definitely ready to see when they plan to release that. But yeah, there's a ton of things just coming out in the next couple of months for sure, and I'm excited about them all as well. Just in April, we had a ton of things also, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for. But I definitely see Welcome to Derry coming out at least by October. If not, if it doesn't come out by October, I could see it being pushed to the spring. My light gave out right there, so it got a little bit darker here. So that's my cue, I guess, right now. I definitely will be trying to go live again, hopefully tonight or tomorrow. Definitely with more light. I got to charge my batteries and stuff like that. But appreciate y'all all coming out, and I'll definitely be doing more streams in the future. I'm gonna schedule it out. I'll be releasing a schedule of videos I'm gonna be doing, like when I do the news videos, when I do the theory videos, when I do the TV breakdowns, all of that. I want to make it a little bit more coherent on the channel, not just drop random things here and there. So hopefully y'all will tune in for that. But thank you for everybody coming on here. Thank you for Mystic for commenting, also for Bradley Flegel. Really appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all pretty soon. I'm currently recording some reviews for Drop and also the Shrouds, so stay tuned for those. Stay safe, stay positive, y'all.